Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're learning Masechtas Sotah Daf Yud Beis. We're going to begin on the bottom of Yud Aleph Amud Beis, 3 lines on the bottom, V'kolei ben Chetzroin. So we're in the middle of discussing this question number 12. Mehem Shemos Hanosafim Sheish Miriam B'Tanach. What are Miriam's additional names? So just like Yisro had 7 names, Miriam also had 7 names. Miriam, we mentioned already Puha, which is probably the most famous of them, and also Azuva, which we saw in the end of this last daf. V'Tamas Azuva, Eishes Kolev, V'yikachol Kolev es Ephras. So we know that Miriam was married to Kolev, and she had this other name. Now the pasuk also says in Divrei Yomim, "V'Kolev ben Chetzron hoyledes Azuva, Isha, v'es Yirios v'Eila Boneha." So it mentions Yirios, which is another name for Miriam. V'Eila Boneha. These are their children: Yesher v'Shovav, v'Ardon ben Chetzron. So these are all the different other names. And then it says Ben Yefune, which is again referring to the son of Ben Yefune, who ben Shipana mi'atzis meraglim. This is referring to the one who removed himself from the Eitzah of the meraglim. V'kati ben Kenazhu. Also, he's Ben Kenaz, the son of Kenaz. D'chsev v'yilkadeha Asniel ben Kenaz achi Kolev. That Asniel captured Ben Kenaz, the brother of Kolev. So it's a question. So Maran says, Amarava chaygro de Kenaz have. He was the stepson. As we continue to Yud Beis Amud Aleph, Dekanami d'chsev hakenizi. So since it says hakenizi, says Rashi, Krachrina Kimishtoig B'Kolev Lil Kori Ben Kenaz. He wasn't called Ben Kenaz. El Hakanizi Mi Anshi Beso, from that house. Azuva, as we said, Zumiriam. So V'lomenik Rishma Azuva Shakol Azuva Mitchilasa. That they were all, says Rashi, Shakol Azvuha Shemitchila Chalanis Haisa. Originally she was ill. Kidikari lahacha yirios, v'kamen kari lanami chela v'azuva she'azvua kol b'chur Yisrael melisa isa. That originally people did not marry her. Hoylid gave birth v'ho minsav havinotzava. He was married to her. So Rav Yochanan kol naisa isha l'shem shemayim al avakasav kil yolda. If you marry a woman l'shem shemayim, it's kil like you gave birth to her. So, even though she had perhaps apparently some physical ailments, but nonetheless, Kalev married her nonetheless. Yirios, why was she called Yirios? Shahayapaneha daimin Yirios, that her face was comparable to a curtain. Bli toar admumish shemachmas choya haisirak rakas, that her face was like discolored or green. Ve'el baneha al tikri baneha el boineha. It's builders. El shemos bala shabana v'oisem mavuna kashar nashim v'nesuin v'vanim yoshev saiviv adrai. And then the Gemara says Yesher sheyitzer es atzmo. So fine. So we have Pua, Zuva, Yerios, Soivav. Shesivev es Yitzro, that they rebelled against the Yetzer. The Ardoin Sharada es Yitzro, they subdued their Yetzer. Vigadarmi al Shahaya Paneha Daimin Kaveret, Laveret. Their face was comparable to like a rose. Fine. And then the pasuk in Divrei Yomim says, Ashchor, which is referring to Kalev, Avi Tekoa Hayu Shtei Noshim. He had 2 wives. Chel and Nara. So we're going to see Ashur, as I mentioned, Zekale, Volomenikr Shmo Ashur, Shehuchshoru Pana Betainis, because his face was blackened in fasting. That's how great he was. Avi, when it says Avi in the pasuk, Shenasalo Ka'av, he was considered like almost like one of the avos. He was so great. Tekoa Shetakas Libel Avim Shabashamayim. So he directed his heart toward heavens. Hayu Shnei Noshim Nasa Miriam Kishtei Noshim. Miriam herself actually was like two women, Chel Benara, and therefore really she had these other names in addition to, as we saw, Puah, Azuva, Urios, Chela, and Nara were also her names. As we also saw Ephras. Lo Chel Benara Havoy El Batchila Chela. Originally she was sick. Ubasayf Nara, and then she became youthful again. Uvnei Chela, and the children of Chela, Seres Matzayhar ve'Esnan. So regarding their children, Seres shenasis sar lechaver seha, that she became likened to a rival to her friends, says Rashi, miskanois biyofya, because of her beauty. Sayhar, this is referring to her child. Sayhar shahayu paneha daimim ketzaharayim. The face was like bright like the day, in the middle of the day. Esnan shekol hara'is amoyach esnan leishtai. So anyone who would see her, they would consult an esnan to the wife. Says Rashi shahayu mis'avel lemishkav noshim, because it caused them to want to cohabit with women because of their beauty. So that's how we read the pasuk that they had Ubnei Chela, the children of Chela were Sarah, Soher, and Esnat. They had beautiful children. And when it said before that she was sick, that afterwards she became like a Naira, says Rashi, Shinisrapa Michelia, she got better. V'chaz b'tayir panim kanar, and her face ended up looking youthful again. Okay. Fine. B'tzav Paro. So this answers this question, because this is a very hard question to get all this right. So that's why I want to repeat it. So Miriam's names were Puha, again when it came to being one of the Mealdais, Azuva, because people were forsook her because she was sick, Ephras, Yoriois, which sounds like a curtain. She had greenness, so she was hidden. Chela, and then Nara, as we said, because she originally was like a Chayla, then she became a Naira. So that's why she was given all these different these names. Okay, so now let's continue. Once we got all Miriam's names, and there are those people who incorrectly say that Miriam never got married. This is a Farish Gemara, that she was married and she had children. Okay, fine. Weiter. So Paro commanded all of the nation. He actually ended up punishing his own nation, the Egyptians themselves. How do we understand this? So the Omer Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, Sholosh Gezeres Gazer. He made 3 different levels of decrees. But Chila initially ben Huva Mitanoto. If it's a boy, kill him. And then afterwards, if it's a boy, throw him to the waters. Says Rashi. What does that mean? So Darsh Tanchuma, that Yom Shenod Moshe, the day that Moshe died, Amru it's Tagninov, Hayom Noilad Moshe Shel Yisrael. Today is the day that the person who is the Moshe Yisrael was born. The Ein Ani Yodim in Mitzrihu or Yehudi. Because we understand that Moshe ended up living his whole life in an Egyptian house, in a palace, basically, or part of it. So because of that, it was confusing. Is he a Jew? Is he an Egyptian? And of course, it was Bas Paro took care of him. V'amad v'kibitz kol almo. So he gathered up all the nation of Bikish mehen litin lo hanoiladim bo b'yom v'gozer al almoi, which means even the Mitzrayim that were born that day were actually killed as well. Okay. V'yelach ish mebeis Levi l'heichen hoch. Where did he go? So Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvina shahalach ba'atzas bitoi. He went back to remarry his wife based on Miriam's request. What's that? Tana Amram Gadol Hadar Hoya. He was the greatest. Kivan sharabi shiyomer paro harasha kol haben hayod hayot hashichuhu. Once he heard that all the boys are going to be killed anyway, amar l'shava anu amelim. For nothing we're making this difficult for ourselves by having children. They're going to be killed anyway. So Amma Vigirish Asishto. He thought instead of having to go through the anguish of having their children killed, better that he should separate halachically from his wife. So Amdu Kulam Vigirshu Es Nishosehen. Because Amram did it, everyone followed suit. Amrolo, so Miriam said, Bitai, Amrolo Bitai, Abba, my father, Kasha Gazer Ascha Yosim Mishel Paro. Your decree is even worse than Paro's. Sheparo Gazer El Zacharim. His Gazer is against boys. Yat Gazart El Zacharim El Nekavis. You're also punishing the potential girls. Girls could have survived. At least let them have children. At least half of the Jewish population will survive. There'll be women. Paro Gazer El B'Om Haza. V'Yat El B'Om Haza B'Om Haba. You're taking away their Om Haba as well. So they'll be born, they'll be killed, but at least they'll have an Om Haba. Paro Harasha Sipik Sufik Miskayemes Gezerah Sub Sufik and Miskayemes. Atot Sadak Asadik Bavade Shigezeros Shigezeroscha Miskayemes. Nemar Vertigzar Oimer. So because of that, whatever you say is definitely going to happen. Of course, the question is, was he mamish? Because everyone listened to him like he was considered to be worse than Paro. Paro was murdering the children. Isn't it worse murdering children than deciding not to have children? But nonetheless, this is what he said. That's what she said, and that was enough to inspire him to get remarried. He got up and remarried his wife. Therefore, everyone also did the same thing. They got remarried. She said he went back. So Rabbi Huda bar Zvina shasol ma'isel kuchen, that they got married. Hoshiva be'apirioin, and they put the kawa in like a throne. Aaron and Miriam meraktin l'fanahan. Aaron and Miriam were dancing in front of her. Amru em habanim smecha. As Bas Levi, Asher Bas Meyo Shleshim Shana Havia Vikarli Bas. So this woman, as we calculate, was actually 130 years old, because she was born, as it's explained in Rashi, Shiolda Biridasan Mitzrayim. When they were coming to Mitzrayim, where there was 70 in number, that's when Yocheved was born. So how is it? When therefore, based on this calculation, they lived. It was 130 years old, because Moshe was 80, as the pasuk says, Moshe ben Shmeidim Shana b'dabra mel Paro, and we know that we left after 210 years. So Moshe's 80, and Miriam and Yocheved is 130. So how can we call her a bas, right? Like you have parents, they call their kid, "Oh, you're my baby." I'm not a baby. I'm 80 years old or whatever. I'm old. But so what does that mean? She's a bas. As we said, that she was conceived on the road, and she was born between the walls, which, again, during the time when Bnei Israel were 70 in number. Shenemar asher yolda oisel Levi b'Mitzrayim leidasa b'Mitzrayim ve'ein harasa b'Mitzrayim. She was born in Mitzrayim but not conceived. It means that she was given back the ways of a woman to, on some level, to be able to have children. The Tari Ish of a Teled Bain, and Shitaka gave birth, which is an unbelievable miracle. So the truth is, she was pregnant 3 months before she was remarried to Amram. Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvina makash lidasa lohayrasa. Maharasa Moshe shul b'tzar af lidasa shul b'tzar. There was no pain in childbirth. Mekan l'nashim sidkanya shul haya bepiska shel chava. That nashim sidkanyos are not punished with the gezerah of chava. V'tera oisa of childbirth, of pain. V'tera oisa ki toivhu. She saw that this little boy, this baby, was good. So Tanya Ramer Toiv Shemo, Moshe's real name was Toiv, because that's what it says. Ki Toivhu, he's Toiv. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Tovia Shemo, his name was Tovia, which is the same thing, but has Toiv and Hashem's name. Rabbi Nechemi Omer Hagon Lunavius Acherim, Hagon Lunavius Acherim. He's fit for other prophecy. Acherim Oimrim Noilid Kishu Moihol, that he was Hagan Lunavius. He was fit for prophecy. Acherim Oimrim Noilid Kishu Mohol. He was born with a bris. Chum Oimrim B'Shasha Noilid Moshe Nismali Habayas Kul Or. The whole house was filled with light. Ksiv Hacha V'Tera Oiso Kitoivhu. Ksiv Hasam V'Yarol Kimas Or Kitoiv. So that's light. So which represents Hashem, represents Torah, but Tisminu Shoshi Yerachim, and he was hid for 3 months. The Lo Manu Mitzrayim El Mishah Diahadra, because they only started counting from the time that she returned back to her husband. Vihi Havin Mibro Be Tlasi Yarchim Ikara, and as we said, she was already had was born. He was born from 3 months from before. V'Yacha Oid Hasvinoi, and she couldn't hold him anymore. So my Tispinei V'Tezel, so keep him hidden. Ella Kol Heichadahamishmi Mitzroi. Whenever there would be a baby child, the Salid Yanuka Mamti Yanuka Hasam, they would bring a baby there. Kehechi Delishma Inhu, they would hear. Bahadaihu. Basically, they used to bring, if there was a baby hidden, they would bring another baby, and they would make that baby cry, and that would get the other baby, wherever it's hidden, to also cry. And therefore, it was impossible to hide. The Egyptians did this. D'chsiv, echazu lanu shualim katanim. Grab for us these small foxes. The goymer. V'tikach lo tevas goymer. So she took a wicker box. So my shnag goymer. Why this? So Rabbi Lezer, mikan l'tzadikim shemamayim chavel lehmios megufon. That their money is more chaviv than their bodies. The kol kach lama lafi shein poishtin yedehim begezel. So we don't stretch our hands out with that which is stolen. What is this talking about? So it says Rashi, Shadama Buatim. This wicker box is not expensive. Yafal pi Shahaya Mishtamer Gufo, even though it will protect the body, Yoiser Bishel Eitzim Shikashim V'chazokim. Even though it's stronger, nonetheless use this wicker box because it was less expensive. What on earth does that mean? I mean, obviously we don't want this child to be drowning over here, but that's what it literally means. And so, of course, to understand what does it mean. Tzaddikim considers money to be more important than their lives. What does that mean? Which then itself in V'yohafta we say, "Behold, nafshecha v'chol moedecha." So the Gemara in Brachos says, whatever's more chaviv to you. How could money be more chaviv? Okay. So obviously it doesn't mean you care more about money than your own life, but you do realize that money has great power, because money could, if you had fabulous wealth, you could save thousands of lives. You can do so much as opposed to just for yourself, taking care of yourself. Fine. They didn't have anything else to build or to make, so they couldn't make anything was stolen. Shmuel bar Nachmani Omer davar rach, it's soft. Shachalam b'nei davar rach b'nei davar kasha. It's something soft is able to stand against something which is soft and something which is hard. So therefore, that's basically the reason why that she did this, is because it's something in which has the greater ability to be able to basically float. V'tachmer b'chaymer v'zafes, and she smeared it with like plaster. Tana chaymer b'mifnim v'zafes b'chutz. Kadesh yariach yisasadak reach ra. The zephes, which does not have a pleasant smell, the reach has a reach ra, so she put it on the outside so that her baby should not have to smell that. Which again shows the great sensitivity. Even the time of saving your baby's life, you want to make it extra as comfortable as possible. V'tosim ba'asiyeled, v'tosim ba'suf, she put him into the water. V'belezer oimer yamsuf. It was actually the yamsuf. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani oimer, as we continue Yud Beis and Yud Beis, so he says, Agam It was actually a swamp, says Rashi, Shel Atse Arava, which had reeds, Kedechsiv Kana Vesuf Kamelu, that the reeds and willows which were there. Betera Basparo Lirchotz Al Yor, and Basparo saw this while she was bathing. Amar Rav Yochanan Mishum Rav Shimon ben Yochai Melamed Shiardu Lirchotz Migululi Aviha. She was actually immersing L'Shem Gerus, Rashi says, to rid herself of any of the idols which she had connected to in the past. So Chenu Imrachatz Hashem es Sayas B'nai Sion, the garment, to remove that filth. The Naraseha Holchais, the Gomer, she had Nairus accompanying her. Rav Yochanan ein halicha zu el lashon misa. It's a language of death. V'cheinu omer hine noiche halach lamos. What does that mean? Says Rashi, k'nei mafarsh v'azol shahayu memachos biyada hatsalto shel tzadik. So we're going to see exactly what happened with death in a moment with regarding to those women that were there. The teres hateva b'toch asuf. So Basparo saw this basket. Kivan dechazu de kabol latzule l'Moshe. As soon as the maidens saw that she wanted to save Moshe, Amrula gavirtenu min hagushel olam melch basav adam geyser gezerah. So the mistresses said, it's the custom of the world that if a king, it makes a decree, im kol olam kulo ein mikayamin oisa, they may not keep it. But banav v'nei beisum mikayamin oisa, at least the people in the house keep it. So it's one thing not to, fine, the people from the other side of the country may not keep it. V'yadu averis agzeres avich, this is your own father. So it's one thing that there's some people in this country that may not follow all the laws, but this is your father's laws. How could you not follow it? So Gabriel v'chavtan bekarka. So Gabriel came and buried them in the ground, which basically, as we saw, they were punished because they obviously were going to snitch on Basparo for saving this baby. The famous Rashi on this, that she stretched out her arm. So on this, the Gemara says, Yados, her hand, she sent a maidservant. So it makes sense. It was her hand, which is like an amma, which is your hand. So that's logical. It doesn't say yada. Okay. Fine. Gavriel v'chafta bekarka. Understand? They were all dead. So how could she have sent the shivcha? The answer is you're right, but the shir lachad, there was one that remained, the lav orcha, that was not proper. The bas malka lamekim l'chuda. Because it's not proper for a bas melech to be by herself. Ulamandi amar yada, lichtav yada, it's written yada. Hakamash mulan, dishtarve vishtaruvuve, that her hand actually extended. Yomar v'cheinata moitze ba'amasa shel basparai, that it couldn't get to the baby, so her hand miraculously became many amos. V'cheinata moitze b'shini rishayim, also by the teeth of the wicked. Except shini rishayim shibarta. We find that by Ugmal Chabashan, as is brought down over here, the beginning of the 9th parak in Brachos, that he had his teeth stuck into the mountain, based on this pasuk, Shine Rishayim Shibarta, Yomer Shlakish al Tikri Shibarta El Shiri Bavta, that it extended. V'tivtach v'terehu as a yeled, she saw this baby, v'tereh meboile. So Rav Yosef Rav Chanina, Shirasa Shchina Imoy, she saw the Shchina, the Hini Nar Boich is crying, so Karli yelled v'Karli Nar. Which one is it? So Tana hu yelled v'Koilo Kanar. He was a baby, but he sounded like a nar. Divi Rabbi Yehuda, Amel Reb Nechemim Kaina, Sisul Moshe Rabbeinu Balmum. Sounds like he was a Balmum, there's something wrong with him. El Mulamed Shiasalo Ima Chupas Nurim Bateva. Rather, it's that the mother made this Chupas Nurim Bateva, this special basket inside this basket for this child. Amar Shema Lo Eskel Chupasai. So she said maybe he will not be zaycha to a chuppah. But tachmo alav v'taimer mi'aldi ivrim zeh. She had mercy upon him and said this must be a Jewish boy. So B'nai Yada, how did she know he was Jewish? Rabbi Yosef, especially that we know that even Egyptians were thrown into the sea on that day. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Chanina, Shurasa Yisrael Mohel, because he had a bris milah. Zelim Rabbi Yochanan Zeh. Rabbi Yochanan Malamed Shnis Nava Shalom Medaita. She actually had a nevuah without her knowledge. Zen Neifel ve'ein acher Neifel. That no one else will. This one was thrown, and no one else will be thrown. Behind it, Yom Rabbi Lezer, Ma'anachsev v'chi Yomer Aleichem. Dirshu el ha'oivos v'hayidoinim. Those who seek out these forms of idol worship, of seeing the future through the dead. Ha'misasvasim. Those who chirp. V'hamanhigim. And chatter. Soifim ve'enim yodim mat soifim. They don't know what they're calling out to. Magim. Ve'enu yodim ma magim. They say things, they don't know what they're saying. So regarding the astrologer, Ra'u, they see Shemoshin Shel Yisrael b'mayim hu loike. They knew that he was going to get killed with water. That they should be thrown into the water. Once they threw Moshe, Amr Sula Chazinan, we no longer see a Kehu Simana Bittul Xerasaihu. So it's true, Moshe was going to be killed by water, but it was only later on by Mariva when he hit the rock. That's the reason that once Moshe was actually put in the water, they realized, okay, we can now see that he's now in the water. And therefore they stopped killing any other children because they knew that that was it. They were safe. Behind the name Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina, Ma'idachsev Hema me Mariva Asher Ravu. Hema Shiro, it's Tagnini Paro V'ta'u. This is referring to, again, the astrologers of Paro all the way back. They made a mistake. It was this, what they saw. Behind the camera Moshe. Sheish Meyois Elef Ragli. 600,000 Ragli V'goymer because of me. Israel. B'shvili nitzaltem kulchem. Because of me, this happened to all of you. Rav Chanina, based on the word zeh, Rav Chanina bar Papa Omer oiso hayoim esra ve'echad b'Nisan hoya. It was the 21st day of Nisan. That was the day that he was taken out of the water. So Amr Malchi Yeshar something Kodesh Baruch Hu Bonishal. Misha said the Lord Meshira al Hayom, which is on the 21st day of Nisan. By Yom Zeh Yilkeb by Yom Zeh. So he should get hit with this water. He has the potential of being able to be a part of Kriyas Yamsuf, which is on the same anniversary. It was actually 3 months after his birth, which is the 6th of Sivan, which is, of course, Shavuos. Amr Malchi Shosem Kodesh Baruch Hu Bonishal. Mishos lo kabel tayir mehar sina b'yom zeh yilke b'yom zeh. There's no way he should be able to be harmed because on the same day in the future he'll be able to be spared. So it's actually the 6th of Sivan is the day, according to one opinion, that he ended up being taken out of the water. Okay. It was the 6th of Sivan. Mishkachsel Gimel Yarches, 3 months. Dear Mamar, Beshiva Ba'adar Mace. He died in the 7th month. There was Shiva Adar Noilad Moshe. He was also born then. There was Shiva Ba'adar V'ad Shisha Sivan Tluasa Yarchi. That's 3 months. Elman Di Aimer Be'eser Ve'echad B'Nisan Heichem Mishkachsel. How do we find 3 months there? So Aisa Shana Muberes. So it's actually, there was an other Shani. So there gives you an extra month right there. Ruba Shal Rishon of Adar Rishon, the majority of Adar Rishon, and Ruba Shal Acharon of Nisan. So therefore, the Emsa Sholim, again, the other bays was a complete month. But Taimer Achaiso El Bas Paro, so it's like, not exactly 3 months, was mostly 3 months. But Taimer Achaiso El Paro, El Bas Paro, so Miriam spoke to Bas Paro, Ha'elech Krasilach Isha Menekas Min Hevriyos. Shall I go and get a woman to basically nurse this baby? So Ma'ishna Me'ivriyois, why a Jewish wet nurse? Malamid Shechziruhu Maishal Koil Hamitzriyos Kulon. He went to all the Egyptian wet nurses. Well, Yanak, he didn't nurse. Amar Pesh Asal Dabra Imashchini Yidek Davar Tameh. Since he was an individual who is going to be learning Torah and talking to Hashem, he cannot possibly consume something which is from a davar tamei. Says Rashi, Zu shechilos davarim tameim. This is someone that Egyptians, they eat non-kosher. Vatinik toyim b'chalava koma shetaychal. Whatever is in the mother, it is in the taste of the milk, and therefore there's an element, not that it's a sin to drink that milk. There's nothing sinful, but for someone on the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, even at an infant age, we don't want him to even have any connection to a davar tamei. As mi yoira deya, to whom we learn knowledge. Mi yoira deya lo mi yavin shmua li gemuli michalab latike mishadoyim. The one who is able to be weaned from the milk and removed from the breast. V'taimer labas para lechi. The Gaimar Rabbi Elazar Malamed shaholcha bezrizus ka'alma. It tells you that she went very quickly. Ka'alma says Rashi shekol koicha leha k'mo chazak le'amatz. They went extremely quick. Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Omer ha'alma shehelima estabreha, that she concealed her words. Says Rashi shul Omer she achaisai v'hahi. She didn't say this, that she was related to Moshe. It was Shehimavia es imo, that she was going to go get her mother. She didn't say any of these things. Obviously, that wouldn't be a good move. So that's what she did. And returning this child, she prophesized, but she didn't even realize what she said. Helichi ha shalichi, take that which is yours. So basically, she's giving back her son. I'll give a reward. It's not enough that they're given reward, she got what she lost, but she'll even get back she'll even get more. So she not only got her son back to nurse her own son from Bas Paro, but Bas Paro also paid her to do this. I'm going to stop here. Question 13. V'tikach lo tevas goyme. Madua goyma v'lo eitz. Can do this. So why not wood? So one answer is shu zoil min ha'etz. It's cheaper. But tzadikim chavav leim b'moinim yos b'gufam, which again, that needs a lot of work. Or shu rach, that this basket was soft. V'yochel lamif davar rach v'kosha. It would be able to withstand soft and hard things. If it's wood, it can bang into like a rock or something, and the whole thing can shatter in half. Okay. Question 14. Timer labasparo lachi v'telcha alma maduakar kol hakosav alma. So either shaholcha bezrizus ka'alma. So she went, and alma is like someone who's mute. She went quickly, like an alma. Whatever, I'm not sure what that means. Or she halima estabra, she quieted her words. She achaiso, that she was a sister. V'shahayim avia es imo, to get her mother. Adkan.